I formally welcome everyone in this Heal Foundation in association with Seva Bharati Delhi, the first patients' right e-conclave.
धन्यवाद सुदीप जी। और आज इस हील फाउंडेशन ने एक बहुत बड़ा एक बीड़ा उठाया सेवा भारती के साथ मिलकर के। और आज सभी हमारे आदरणीय जो पैनलिस्ट हैं, डॉक्टर दीपक सिंगला जी, डॉक्टर दीपक शुक्ला जी, जीएस ग्रेवाल जी और अपने आर शंकरन जी, सुधीर जी, मनोज जी, ऐसे सभी का स्वागत है। और सब ने मिलकर के इसको आज एक सक्सेस बनाना है। आप सब सेवा भारती के बारे में बहुत अच्छे से जानते हैं। जब से ये कोविड शुरू हुआ तब से सेवा भारती ने भोजन, पका हुआ भोजन और ऐसा भोजन जो लोग पका सकते हैं, 2-2.5 लाख परिवारों को प्रतिदिन खिलाया। और हमने एक कॉल सेंटर के माध्यम से 4 प्रकार की कॉल लगातार ली, जिसमें भोजन की कॉल थी और लोगों के चिकित्सा की। तो हमारे साथ 35 एक चिकित्सकों ने लगातार उसमें काम किया। उसमें डॉक्टर विशाल जी भी थे, डॉक्टर दीपक जी भी थे। तो समाज की समस्याएं ध्यान में आ रही थी कि कोविड और नॉन कोविड दोनों ही ध्यान में आ रही थी। इन सारी समस्याओं को ध्यान में रखते रखते ही डॉक्टर दीपक सिंगला जी के मन में ये आया कि एक इश्यू बहुत बड़ा है। इस इश्यू पर इसमें हॉस्पिटल्स ब्लड से खाली हो गए, तो हमने लगातार फिर ब्लड डोनेशन कैंप भी किए और हॉस्पिटल्स को ब्लड डोनर भी प्रोवाइड किए। ऐसे ही मेडिसिन, पेशेंट्स और केमिस्ट के बीच में भी एक चेन डेवलप की। और पेशेंट के ट्रांसपोर्टेशन, बहुत सारी समस्याएं ऐसी आई जो नॉन कोविड प्रॉब्लम्स थी, जिनको हम लोग लगातार देख रहे थे। तो ऐसे समय में ये सारा जो डिस्कशन में स्वदीप जी ने बताया, हम सबकी एक भूमिका ईश्वर ने तय की है, हमने तय नहीं की। अगर ये हमने तय की होती तो कुछ और कर रहे होते। ईश्वर ने तय की है, इसलिए ईश्वर ने हमको ये निमित्त भी बनाया है कि हम सब लोग मिलकर के जो समाज की सफरिंग है, वो जो कहते हैं हम लोग नर सेवा नारायण सेवा सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, हमारा जो समाज है, अगर स्वस्थ समाज रहेगा तो स्वस्थ दिमाग रहता है। सब लोग स्वस्थ रहते हैं तो देश स्वस्थ रहता है।
So in the second wave of COVID, again will non-COVID patients suffer? That is something that we need to look into. This is a brief introduction that I want to give, and I hope the panelists will stick to 4 minutes and so that we can take more question and answers. Sudhir, do you want to add anything more?
If I can, yeah. I'll be, Shankar, you have said
Yes.
Broadly everything which can set the tone for a very engaging discussion. I'm more keen to hear from Kerala examples, basically Manoj, what he says about how Kerala has done, because living in North India, staying in Delhi, interacting with hospitals, interacting with fellow lawyers, interacting with other friends, we all are only interested in the story of hope right now.
नमस्कार, कोरोना ये क्या किया चमत्कार। नमस्कार, कोरोना ये क्या किया चमत्कार। आजकल सारी दुनिया करती है एक दूसरे को नमस्कार। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल स्वदीप जी, हील फाउंडेशन, इस संवाद के लिए देता हूँ आपको धन्यवाद। I've been having sleepless nights. I've spent my lifetime with the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi, last 45 years. But last 55 days, I have at a stage, it's a world record. I never stayed at a place for 55 days at a time. Sleepless nights, sleepless in Washington, sleepless in Seattle. इस सफर में नींद ऐसी खो गए, हम ना सोए, आखिर रात थक कर सो गई। कोरोना से हमको एक बहुत बड़ा संदेश मिला है कि the entire world is a family. Coronavirus has no respect for age, gender, class, country, creed, religion. वो सबको बराबर लिखता है. And that's what my ancient culture has been saying there. This entire world is a family. वसुधैव कुटुंबकम. सारे देशों के लिए ये दुनिया एक बाजार है, लेकिन मेरा भारत एकमात्र देश है जिसके लिए दुनिया एक परिवार है। The most precious resource in our life is time, and Alexander the Great has said it very well, that when we give someone our time, we give a portion of our life that we'll never get back. The best present that we can give to our family and friends is our time. Friends, my doctor colleagues and the staff I mentioned are giving their time for the ones who are needy ones. So We don't know how much time we have. We possibly might know how much bank balance we have. So let's celebrate each moment that we have with us. जिंदगी वही है जो आज जी रहे हैं, कल जो जिएंगे वो तो उम्मीद होगी. अब पैंडेमिक का इतिहास तो बहुत पुराना है. Now this timing is बदल गया है. Before Christ has become before Corona, and AD has become after Corona. It has downgraded to AD after Corona. Now the history of pandemics are there. This is the 20th pandemic. Indians will find 2020 तो हमको हमारे खून में है. 2020 एक ही देखते हैं क्रिकेट मैच. This is the 20th pandemic. I've done the historical research. The first one was the Antonio plague, and people were not sure whether it was smallpox or measles, and it was in 165 AD, and 5 million people died then. 5 million. और ये 20वां है. This is the 2020 pandemic है. 2020. So this is nothing new. The pandemic that we had is nothing new. Only thing is I'm not able to understand as a scientist why we are celebrated his arrival in such a way. I know it's a vicious one, very progressive one, but इसको हमने जरूरत से ज़्यादा मुझे लगता है we are given a knee-jerk reaction to this pandemic. To the extent it's going to stay with us as long as there is a human race. Virus, bacteria, fungus, and protozoa, they will be a part of our lives. So earlier we accept that it is there, the better it is for us. Let's really accept that the pandemic is going to be there. Now, what has happened is, in India, there are 6 pandemics going on. First is the pandemic of Corona, for which appropriate measures are taken. It's always a wisdom by hindsight. You can question the decisions taken later, given by sight. But only thing is, don't let us not repeat them. We'll come to that later during the course of the discussion. First pandemic is Corona. Second pandemic is that of more information. More information about Corona. 90% of the television and print media, 90% is Corona. बाकी के लिए कुछ सिर्फ रोना ही रोना है. We forgotten the other 10% at all. Then there is misinformation, distorted information, incomplete information. That is another pandemic. That's the third one. Fourth one is the pandemic of Google experts. Overnight they become Google experts. You know, this discipline, this pandemic has to be handled by specialists who are public health specialists, who are epidemiologists, who are behavioral scientists. वो तो दिखाई नहीं देते. What you see in the panel is cardiologist, cardiothoracic surgeon, orthopedic surgeon, gastroenterologist. Each one has a different language to say. The fifth pandemic is pandemic of the fear. Everybody's talking about pandemic of fear. It seems that in case of Corona, the disease, the fear of the disease is much more than the disease itself. It is dangerous to be ruled by fear, dangerous to be ruled by. We must, that's why I'm appealing to media, my colleagues, esteemed colleagues in media, let us give the correct information to the people. I know media is the messenger. So message, please contact the right people for the right message. And fifth is the pandemic of misery. That is what you are saying about it. That the other half, in your introductory remarks, Mr. Shankar, you said, what has happened to other care of people? Those who have to get cancer, those who need surgery, those who are on diabetes, chronic diseases, those who are given to childbirth with difficulty. We have forgotten about it. The death rates due to Corona, COVID-19 from January 2020 to March 2022, it is
bring Kerala perspective because we need a massive hope right now. And Manoj Kumar Das sir, I request you are looking at it from a journalistic point of view, but you have a scientific temper. Kindly tell us, what did Kerala do to achieve such an amazing story, turnaround, flattening theory? Secondly, how the rest of the country, especially Delhi and Mumbai, can go on the same road?
Thank you very much. You know, Kerala's experience stems from the handling of Nipah last year. You know, Nipah was sort of geographically contained within the Malabar region, which is a similar virus also that came from bats. So we had a test run, so to speak, when we were hit by Nipah virus last year. And it was one of the first cases where a student from Vaughan reached Thrissur. That was when Kerala first had its COVID-19 patient. She was treated in Thrissur Medical College and she was cured. And then we had a lull, and then a patient came from Italy, and he contracted his immediate family members in the district of Pathanamthitta, which is in central Kerala. You know, the success story there is that the most aged couple, they were cured at Kottayam Medical College, and which is like a world history, so to speak, because I think they are the oldest couple who were cured of corona, and every newspaper celebrated their comeback into life. Now we are preparing for the arrival of our diaspora as well as from outside India and within the country. So the government is all set to receive them. Quarantine facilities have all in place. So to answer Mr. Sudhir, how we handled it. Point one, the literacy did help Kerala a lot. Point two, Kerala's exposure to a lot of global SOPs, because we have generations of paramedical staff, doctors who have worked in Europe, who have worked across the world, and any corner of the world you go, you find a Malayali paramedic or a doctor. So when they come back, when they return to the home state, either in a reverse brain drain or during their visits to the native place, they do share their experience with the peer group. So a process, a concept of a process to handle a crisis always existed in Kerala. Here we should say hats off to the way the primary health centers function here. The network of primary health centers and the chain of health service, starting from ASHA workers who identified each probable patient, each vulnerable case, and the direct reporting up to the health minister and to the chief minister. So the pivotal control was with the chief minister. Every day he briefs media.
Saying how to do very frequent and effective hospital cleaning, sanitation, housekeeping is a challenge, because you see, hospital is a place, there are many touch points. You touch the doors, you touch the handles, you touch the elevator buttons, and so many things are there. And therefore, a lot of fresh education has to be infused in the among the hospital staff itself, that to revisit how to take patient care, how to handle the masses who come to them. And therefore, a lot of brainstorming is standard protocol. Fresh protocol is under process. It is also in the place at most of the places, that how to keep yourself safe, how to ensure that you do not become contaminated by any touch points or by any infectant, and lastly, how to entertain visitors. Because you see that the times will be different. It will not be a social visit to the hospital by the attendants or the family members. There has to be a limitation on the visitors. There has to be limitation on even the business partners to the institutions. A fresh education to the healthcare workers within the institution of the hospital. For one reason, that how to work differently rather than physically or by personal visits, has to be the things which are more digital, through the email, through the mobile facility, through various digital modalities, so that physical visit, physical touch is least.
Mental health is being severely affected. So their quality of care from standalone clinics is going down because of non-availability of proper guidelines of what should I do for safety. Number two, there was a system existing of referral for certain opinion. Most hospitals are not available for any opinion. Today itself, I had a patient who had a bad psychotic breakdown for his wife. We have not been able to get a psychiatrist for the last 2 hours. So the referral system is also collapsing because that fabric has broken down. And lastly, let me emphasize here that what we are talking, the Professor Pandav took up the media issue. It is not, nobody is against the media. What he was trying to say, which I feel, is that the selection, he mentioned a very important point, was selection of information. Where are you resourcing that information from? It has to be the appropriate source.
Some government sticker on that this place is quarantine, or this person is quarantined. So what let when we created this hype of like corona, if I am having corona, then I am going to die. What happened is everybody, like especially in villages, was after the healthcare workers, saying that you should not quarantine us. We should not tell others also about our symptoms. That kind of things happened in the field, and there are even examples where healthcare workers were attacked in villages and even in slums areas. Especially, I can tell you about Haryana, that why you are quarantining us? Why, if somebody from outside has come, why you are putting that that as if we are corona positive? Why are showing to the whole village? The villagers. Second thing, the people were working in say PSCs, CSCs, and in medical colleges, and this was something to be very proud of. But what happened when the stigma got attached to this corona thing, and people were feeling like if I'm going to have corona, I am going to die. That kind of thing happened, and the villagers and the people from the cities, they came out and said that people working in the PSC, CSC, and in medical college, they should not come out of it.
So let me first start by addressing a point that Dr. Grewal had made about some media entities getting orthopedicians to comment on an unprecedented pandemic. As an editor who's worked in multiple newsrooms, I can tell you that's completely unacceptable. The idea should always be to go to the most authoritative source on any issue, whether it is a disease, whether it's a political issue, an economic issue, or it's a social issue like stigma, for example. So, and to my mind, that is as unacceptable as you would all agree a doctor pushing a patient into a surgery that is not necessarily required, or prescribing a battery of tests that actually is only driven by the fact that he has a deal with, let's say, a diagnostic center, or prescribing medicines of companies which are taking them to holidays or giving them the best margins, right? It's as unacceptable, immoral as media doing it, right? So now let us understand, why has the media been focused so much on this coronavirus pandemic? I think there's very good reason for it. One, it's something that none of us has seen in our lifetime at least. I don't think any one of us is 100 years old here to claim that we've seen a pandemic which has been as big as this, right? So among viewers from the people that we cater to, there's a morbid fascination for anything coronavirus, okay? So right from the Wuhan wet market, where the virus is said to have originated, to patients lined up in corridors, just waiting to be seen by a doctor, to bodies piled up, to bodies being buried in separate island, like it is happening in New York. COVID has got people's fancy like nothing else. After all, it's their lives at stake, right? So, in fact, the fascination for coronavirus-related information is so much that for the first time in the history of television news, we have generated more eyeballs than entertainment channels. Typically, news is a very small segment of the overall television market, but for the first time in the history of television, news has overtaken entertainment. And that again, it's very easy to see why, because, when you have a global drama playing out, around the world in the most developed countries, people dying, doctors crying, nurses crying, patients crying, that's an unprecedented drama playing on a global stage. There's nothing better. There's no need to switch to fiction, to my mind. So, and how do I know that people have this endless fascination for coronavirus? Because as someone who runs a television channel, we are all driven by TRPs. We get weekly ratings in terms of what program has done well and what hasn't done well. So when I look at what content has really worked for me, I can very clearly tell that it is coronavirus. The moment I, as a television channel, or I move away from the topic, people are switching off, going to some other channel, which is giving more coronavirus related information. So this is a perspective from inside the newsrooms. okay, of live newsroom, which are dealing with this and trying to bring people as much information as possible to the best of their ability. So you have to understand that when there is so much confusion, even among experts, simple things like, they were all intubating coronavirus patients. Then suddenly they found out that there was no need to put
a lot of problems. The whole system, partly by the media, has been portrayed as if, when it started initially, that the hospitals have become hotbeds for the COVID. Like 1 or 2 patients coming out positive from any hospital, which was even unintentional. The media cried at the loudspeaker stage that the hospitals have become hotspots. So that has created a lot of distrust. And I'm not blaming anything. Whatever has happened has happened. We have to start fresh now. And as everybody said right in the beginning, all the statistics everywhere in the world speak that everywhere the non-COVID problems and occupancies of all the hospitals have gone down by more than 70 to 80%. It is not as if the whole mankind has suddenly improved. But the panic is so much that people are hesitant to come to the hospital. There are issues like border issues, possibly in a day or two they will be solved. Haryana versus Delhi. After all, we are a nation. If the borders are sealed, JCBs have dug up the roads, which is not the right thing. The staff cannot come to the hospitals because Haryana government thinks that Delhi people will spread the infection to Haryana. But patients also can't come. Dialysis patient, diabetes patients, asthma, vaccinations. With great difficulties, we achieved something for the child health. And in the last 2 to 3 months, we have simply forgotten that children's vaccinations are time-bound programs. You simply can't catch up with doses of DPT and polios which are missed. And just imagine if there is an outbreak of measles or outbreaks of mumps, what will happen to the society? Then again, malnutrition. As we see all the migrant laborers going back, they will add up to all the problems. And just imagine a patient who is malnourished, who doesn't have enough to eat, and then he becomes the COVID problems. Then problem of dialysis patients, regular deliveries. We all have to work very hard to ensure that the trust of the public is brought back into the healthcare delivery system. Again, healthcare workers are also at risk, and that's a fact that in spite of doing the best possible care, people will fall sick. All hospitals are trying their level best. And I want to bring out one thing very clear, that the difference between COVID and non-COVID is one test, and even that test is maximum 70% it can pick up the disease. In spite of doing one test sometime, patient may still be in the stage where they are having the problem, and they may come out positive after 2 to 3 days again. So we have to create a system where borders allow all the healthcare workers to come easily to their hospitals.
Focus on each other's strength. Let's focus on each other's strength. And Dr. Grewal, you have come out with an excellent point. The second point I want to make is the use of the word social distancing. Social distancing. I think it's the most antisocial, asocial, harsh and derogatory term I have ever heard in my life. It is all that is saying, the science is saying, just be 1 meter away. So it should be called physical space distancing with social sensitivity, emotional bonding, and sharing intrinsic altruistic energy with the radiance of sympathy, empathy, and compassion. Social distancing is a new caste of the 21st century. Corona positive is untouchable. What a way to remember Mahatma Gandhi on his 150th birthday anniversary. If untouchability lives, humanity must die. Untouchability lives, humanity must die. So I'm very much against the use of, God knows where it originated, social distancing. It's physical space distancing with social sensitivity, emotional bonding, and sharing that intrinsic altruistic energy with the radiance of sympathy, empathy, and compassion. That's why one point I want to make it clear. The second point, surprisingly, this
Dr. Swadeep ji, this I was also discussing with Dr. Ram Kumar ji in the morning, that what we need now is the force we used, the kind of messaging we gave in the initial part of it, and I think it was necessary also to keep the people inside home. now with the same zeal we have to tell people that corona is this and you have to live with it, and you should not label a hospital COVID hospital just because a case is in it. You should not label a colony COVID colony just because one case is in it. We have to live with it, and we have to send this message very clearly to the society now that these cases will keep coming. We have to be very careful. We should not be become complacent, but at the same time the people of this country should understand, of this world I think should understand that this corona thing is going to stay, and we have to live life at the same time with corona and with many other diseases also. The same thing we have to focus, that there are other diseases, like somebody rightly pointed out. What if immunization is not there and measles and mumps come again? So we'll have same kind of even more mortality. So I think the political class of this country and experts like us and media must now tell people that we have to live with corona, and rather than fearing it, we should take proper precautions and live with it.
Absolutely right. There's a lot of stigma attached to it, and the tragedy is playing out in front of our own eyes when we see migrant laborers trying to go back home, and even their villages shutting them out, saying that you're going to bring coronavirus from the cities into our villages, right? So we as a channel, as TV9, we are actually in the process of, we have collaborated with two leading experts in Bangalore, Dr. Srivats Bharadwaj and Dr. Ramya Mohan, to conduct a survey, online survey plus offline survey on the whole issue of stigma. How are people in Karnataka at least perceiving the stigma around COVID, and how is it inhibiting effective treatment and a policy against COVID treatment, right? So we will be coming out with this.
With Dr. Deepak Shukla, but before that, sir, to sum up, what you mean is definitely IEC, information, education, communication is one of the most important part which needs to be delivered with respect to the behavior change. But what you mean is that it should be done at multiple levels, multiple stakeholders should be involved. It is our Prime Minister is doing it so effectively. The government machinery is also trying to do their bit of it. The media
has to come down.
A bit of it, but it has to come down up to RWA. But some of the RWA, even my RWIC, there is a group which comes down every Friday, Saturday evening and educates people from 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Educate people on the importance of mask wearing and other cleanliness and hygiene habits. So RWAs on their own are taking some initiatives, but it should be more broad and more inclusive, where all RWAs and other influencer groups should come together in effectively communicating to the masses at the ground level about the overall behavior change which is required in the society. Very well taken, sir.
So the thing which everyone has to do, all the things cannot be left to the government. Social organizations, healthcare institutions with their social and outreach programs, they have to integrate this thing as a challenge. And moreover, COVID hospital, non-COVID hospital, you say that these are the things which are temporary. It is on account of the things we all know, that this infection had a very high virulence. It has there was no protective mechanism, no vaccination, no proper clinical management line, and therefore it was very natural that there was a panic, there was a only COVID hospital treatment, and the patients who were non-COVID but they were in need of the treatment, they refrained themselves to come to the hospital.
Lakhs of people used to visit every month. Lakhs of people, and it may be one Ramadan when the devout kept away. They followed the government rule. They followed every rule the government said. Led by the Tangal family, people doing namaz at home, people praying from home. It is. Mr. Shankar would agree. A temple like Guruvayur attracts minimum 30,000-40,000 people a day. That's the type of crowds would come. So as a society, there was nothing, no fissures in the society. We all stuck together.
So one last point from other panelists. So Dr. Ram is here from Seva Bharati. Dr. Ram, मैं आपसे ये जानना चाहूँगा कि जो हमारा मेन मुद्दा था non-COVID essential healthcare services, उसके की डिफिकल्टीज आप जो ग्राउंड, क्योंकि आप लोग सेवा भारती ग्राउंड लेवल पे काम करते हैं, हजारों लाखों आपके वर्कर हैं जो ग्राउंड लेवल पे जुड़े हुए हैं, तो आपको क्या लगता है कि ये जो मेन जो मुद्दा है जिसके बारे में आज बहुत सारा डिस्कशन हुआ, और क्या इसका एक पर्टिकुलर मैसेज जो हम गवर्नमेंट को देना चाहें, जिसमें गवर्नमेंट अपने कुछ पॉलिसीज अपने अप्रोच में चेंज करे, अदर देन कम्युनिटी कर रही है अपनी तरफ से, डॉक्टर्स कर रहे हैं, हॉस्पिटल्स कर रहे हैं?
जी आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ प्लीज सर, फिर से आ रही है डॉक्टर।
हाँ स्वदीप जी, वास्तव में है क्या कि इस समय जो समस्याएं हैं, बहुत प्रकार की समस्याएं हैं समाज में। ओल्ड एज एक बहुत बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है। ऐसे पेशेंट्स जो बहुत रिमोट गांव में रहते हैं और ट्राइबल क्षेत्र में रहते हैं, इन सबको एक तो कन्वेंस अवेलेबल नहीं है। सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है कि पेशेंट को कोई प्रॉब्लम है तो वो अपनी बात कहे कहाँ। ये तो अच्छा है कि सरकार के और कुछ समाज के ऐसे कुछ चैनल्स बन गए, जिसमें कॉल सेंटर्स बन गए, जहाँ कुछ लोगों को सर्विस मिल चुकी। बहुत सारे लोगों की सफरिंग हमने देखी है, जिनके ऑपरेशंस होने थे, लोगों के गैंग्रीन्स हो गए, और जो काम छोटे से हो सकता था वो बहुत बड़े काम में कन्वर्ट होता। तो जो एसेंशियल सर्विसेज में हेल्थ सर्विसेज भी आती है, तो नॉन कोविड प्रॉब्लम्स को सर्विस प्रोवाइड ठीक से हो सके, इसलिए एक प्रॉपर चैनल, एक जरूरतमंद, वास्तव में ना अमीर आदमी तो कुछ भी कर लेता है, लेकिन गरीब आदमी के पास रिसोर्स नहीं है। वो अपनी गाड़ी उसके पास नहीं होती, अपनी साइकिल उसके पास नहीं होती, वो चल के कैसे जाए। तो ये प्रॉब्लम्स हैं। इन प्रॉब्लम्स को हमें ठीक करने के लिए होलिस्टिक अप्रोच पर सोचना चाहिए। यानी कि वो गांव में है तो गांव में उसके पास एक रिसोर्स खड़ा होना चाहिए कि वो गांव में रह करके अपना छोटा मोटा इलाज कैसे करा सकता है। इस तरह की समस्या कभी आती है तो, और शहर में आए तो उसे ठीक मार्गदर्शन हो जाए, उसका मिसयूज ना हो।
Now focusing entirely on COVID. Now there will be a time when they start focusing. Already certain medias in the south have started focusing on non-COVID patients also. So now I think the time has come for them to focus on non-COVID patients, get the medicines like what Manoj said. You know, workforces, for the fire forces going and giving medical care to people, medicines to people. So non-COVID people are slowly coming on to the main healthcare grid. Now we need to speed up this program of having these people on board on the healthcare map as early as possible. For this, media has a long role to play, and TV9, as he said, has a specific program for non-COVID patients suffering due to COVID, where they can call in the TV channel programs or the news channel programs, and they will connect to the appropriate authorities. That is a great initiative on part of the media, where they connect the sufferers with the people who can provide solace or provide a solution for that.
जो मेरा नंबर है वो सबको दिया जा सकता है, और सेवा भारती जीवन से लेकर जब तक व्यक्ति इस संसार में है, कोई भी प्रॉब्लम है और उस प्रॉब्लम का सॉल्यूशन समाज के पास नहीं है, सेवा भारती का एक ही काम है कि जरूरतमंद को ढूंढना और उस जरूरत को पूरे करने वाले व्यक्ति को ढूंढना, दोनों के बीच में ब्रिज वर्किंग करना। तो कोई भी संसार का ऐसा काम नहीं है जो समाज के माध्यम से नहीं किया जा सकता। हम समाज को जोड़ने की एक्सपर्ट हैं, उसको कारण से हम सब समस्याओं को सॉल्यूशंस दे सकते हैं, क्योंकि समाज के अंदर सभी एक्सपर्ट्स लोग बैठे हुए हैं, उनको रिक्वेस्ट करते हैं और वो अपनी सर्विसेज हमें प्रोवाइड करते हैं, समाज की जरूरतों को पूरा करते हैं। आज हम जो कुछ भी कर रहे हैं, हमारी कोई ताकत नहीं अगर समाज हमें ताकत ना दे, समाज हमें सहयोग ना करे। आज भी हम जो यहाँ बैठ करके इसको सक्सेसफुली कर सके वेबिनार को, तो सब सीनियर्स का जो हमें सहयोग मिला, सबने जो पार्टिसिपेशन दिया, सबने अच्छा मार्गदर्शन दिया, उसके कारण से कर सके। धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद सर। आज हमारा समय यहाँ खत्म होता है। सबसे पहले मैं धन्यवाद करूंगा सारे पैनलिस्ट का, फ्रॉम डॉक्टर प्रोफेसर पांडव टू डॉक्टर दीपक शुक्ला टू शंकर सर, who has been a guide and a big support for HEAL for so many years, डॉक्टर राम कुमार, डॉक्टर सिंगला और डॉक्टर चड्ढा, डॉक्टर विशाल चड्ढा, मिस्टर पुनीत, सब लोगों ने मिलके इसको इसकी रचना की कि इस तरह का डिस्कशन, इस तरह का एक चर्चा होना चाहिए, और वो चर्चा हुआ और इसका सीरीज एक जारी रहेगा गोइंग फॉरवर्ड। बहुत अच्छा पार्टिसिपेशन हमारे जूम में, फेसबुक पे बहुत ज्यादा अच्छा पार्टिसिपेशन। हम इसके वीडियो को, इसके न्यूज को और स्प्रेड करेंगे ताकि आगे और ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोग इसमें जुड़ सके। हमारे मीडिया के बंधु मिस्टर श्री राम, मिस्टर श्री एंड मिस्टर मनोज दास, they had a very excellent perspective both from the Kerala as well as overall media, what the role what they are going to play. And Dr. Yogendra Malik, who Dr. Grewal, everybody was able to give their own point of views, and which corroborated with the overall thought that there is also today the need of giving a lot of focus, shifting our focus from not only COVID to non-COVID essential healthcare services, because that is going to be a bigger challenge for us going forward. तो उसके लिए हम क्या कर सकते हैं, एक साथ में मेडिकल एक्सपर्ट्स, पेशेंट्स के लिए क्या कर सकते हैं, संस्थाएं सेवा भारती जैसे, और हम सब लोग मिलके हील फाउंडेशन, हम सब लोग मिलके क्या कर सकते हैं. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद हमारे पार्टनर्स MIT, ADT यूनिवर्सिटी, वर्ल्ड पीस यूनिवर्सिटी, OTT डिजिटल हेल्थ, टेलीमेडिसिन, OTT एंड अवंतिका यूनिवर्सिटी, सबका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करते हुए हम आगे इस चर्चा को जारी रखेंगे आगे आने वाले सीरीज के लिए में, और उसके हम आपको सबको इन्फॉर्मेशन देते रहेंगे. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद फिर से. मेनी थैंक्स. थैंक यू सो मच. शुभ रात्रि. गुड नाइट.